content is such a big topic. Can you just walk us through exactly the client problem you solve today?
I'll give you a couple of use cases. I'm a large CPG and I need to create mobile ready hero images. Now, if you're going to do that for a few images, no problem. Now, if you have a large catalog, hundreds of products or thousands of products, that's where you really need automation in order to do that at scale. I take data that you have and I combine it with templates to produce all kinds of customer facing outputs. One of our customers told me, hey, we've got all this content in either a PIM system or a digital asset management system, a DAM. How do we unlock that and turn it into all these different assets that we want to have in front of the customer? I need automation and AI to help me do that.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Intentwise Connect podcast, where what we try to do is get industry practitioners and get into some real world learnings. I'm Srinath Reddy, founder, CEO of Intentwise. And today I am honored to have Dave Fainlib. He's the founder and CEO of It's Rapid. Dave, how are you?
Fantastic. Thanks for having me on the show.
Awesome. It's Rapid is a AI-powered creative automation platform. Dave spends all his time thinking about content, and we're going to tap into his brain a little bit and see what he thinks of content. But before we do that, a little bit more intro on Dave. He's an author of 2 books, Bricks to Clicks and Big Data Bootcamp. Both seem very kind of marketing and tech and data oriented, which is great. And then he also is a host of a podcast called Beyond the Shelf, which is awesome too. You should go and subscribe and listen if you haven't yet. With that, Dave, let's dive in. Perhaps share with us what happens at It's Rapid and how did you get there? You and I met at a conference, Walmart's ad conference in New York.
Right.
And I know one thing we shared besides being entrepreneurs is neither of us have raised institutional capital, and we're running SaaS businesses. So we have a lot to talk about. But let's begin with It's Rapid and what it does, how you got here.
Yeah, Srinath, thanks again for the invite. It was great to meet you at the Walmart event and also to talk with you about the industry. This is one of those exciting stories that you always hope for as an entrepreneur. We had a previous company, Content Analytics, that did e-commerce scoring. It was acquired by Syndigo. And after we left there, I was trying to think about what to do next. And our friends at PepsiCo asked me what we were working on. And I said, what interesting business challenges do you have? And they said, well, we happen to have one. We think that creating content that's on brand, high quality, at scale, cost effectively is going to be a bigger and bigger problem. Now, it's not every day that a big CPG reaches out to you and says, is there something we can work on together? It took me about 2 milliseconds to think of my answer for that, which was wholeheartedly yes. And that's how we got our start, really working on content creation at scale. We were very fortunate to have Pepsi as our anchor customer.
Fantastic. And now, how long have you been running this business?
Yeah, we've been running it a few years now. We started off with some consulting to get things started and then really quickly moved it to a product company. We have managed services for clients that want that, and we did raise a bit of seed funding. So we've got some of that to help get us started and put this partnership together with Walmart Connect. We've got a partnership with Instacart and companies like Salsify and others in the space, One World Sync, and those have really enabled us to reach a larger customer base and bring this capability to a lot of CPGs, industrials, a lot of different verticals.
Are you a pre-ChatGPT company or post?
Well, it was about the same time, really. We were working on automation and workflows, and it was really coincidental at that time. You had this reemergence of AI and this ability of these large language models. And that was really exciting for us because a lot of the tasks we thought we might have to do really heavy engineering on, something as seemingly simple as updating a headline for an advertisement or a title for an Amazon product listing, that can now be done with AI. And we can really focus on the workflows and the process and everything that goes with making sure that's going to work end to end.
Makes sense. And we'll talk more about AI later on in the conversation. Dave, just for your benefit, a lot of our audience tend to be people that have something to do with Amazon, right? Selling on Amazon, helping brands selling on Amazon, what have you. And content is such a big topic. Can you just walk us through exactly the client problem you solved today?
Yeah, so let's say I'll give you a couple of use cases. I'm a large CPG and I need to create mobile ready hero images, which are these images with these call outs that have my product image and some product data on an image. Now, if you're going to do that for a few images, no problem. You just do that by hand. Now, if you have a large catalog, hundreds of products or thousands of products, that's where you really need automation in order to do that at scale. So that's where we come in, is taking, and I like to think of it as visual mail merge. I
Mhm.
take data that you have and I combine it with templates to produce all kinds of customer facing outputs. Could be a mobile hero image, could be a banner ad for retail media. Again, I need to do that in lots of different sizes across lots of different networks that I'm investing in. Could be a sell sheet as a PDF or a PowerPoint. Again, if I've just had to do one or two of them, no problem. But when I
Right.
have to do a lot of them or I have to refresh them repeatedly due to a packaging change or a data change or being responsive to something in the market, that's where I need a workflow and automation and AI to help me to do that at scale.
Now you're working with CPGs primarily? Is that
Yeah, we started with CPG. Now we have two parts of the business, I would say. One is really deep in CPG with companies like Pepsi and Mondelez, Instacart. That's we have a very long tail of really great brands and advertisers that we work with there. And then with our sell sheets product, this has been really interesting. These are PDFs and PowerPoints. This covers a lot of verticals. This could be the food service business in a
Mhm.
large CPG. That's really, that's a B2B business. It could be industrials, plumbing parts, or aftermarket car parts. It could be furniture. They all have a very broad product base that's usually in a PIM, a product information management system, that they need to create this content for. So, this really big CPG breadth of knowledge and set of brands and advertisers we work with, and then a really interesting set of industrials, furniture, things like that for specifically for sell sheets and catalogs.
so speed to content creation, and obviously there's existing content data stores. I mean, like source of truth resides elsewhere, but
Right.
you are the engine that is generating a lot of content at rapid pace and much higher scale, correct? Yeah.
Exactly right. One of our customers told me, hey, we've got all this content in either a PIM system or a digital asset management system, a DAM. How do we unlock that and turn it into all these different assets that we want to have in front of the customer? Again, digital shelf, retail media, in store,
Mhm.
print. These are all different form factors that, as a brand, I'm trying to deliver a consistent message, on brand, high quality, but yet lots of different formats, lots of refreshes that need to take place. And I need automation and AI to help me do that.
And the types of media, images, video, audio, all
Yeah,
of it.
yeah. This is one of the most, I have to say, fun aspects
Mhm.
of working in this space because you get to see a brand logo and a product image morph into a set of banner ads. And then you see it as a sell sheet with a lot of data on it. And then you see it as a video. that's super engaging, short form, but highly interactive. And so that's what's really exciting about this is that this platform, the It's Rapid platform, can take this data and these assets and enable you to build it out in all these different formats.
Talk to me about speed, right, Dave? Like, what is, I mean, the definition of speed has changed.
Yeah.
Media formats, media platforms, number of platforms. I mean, it's on the retail media side for sure, just is going crazy. Give me a sense of speed here. Like, one brand, X number of retailers, Y
Yeah.
number of content refreshes. So just give us a sense of scale.
Yeah, speed and scale, as you noted, those really go hand in hand. When I have a lot of scale and I'm still trying to move quickly, that's where the big challenge is. That
Yeah.
scale could be number of networks, it could be something as seemingly simple as different file naming conventions, different file sizes, all those sorts of things. So having that scale and having that frequency of refresh, that's where it really impacts your speed. If you only had to refresh this once a year for a handful of products, again, no big deal, but you're trying to do this all the time now.
Yeah.
When we talk to customers, I often ask them, hey, tell me about your current workflow. How long is this taking you today? And they'll tell us anything from 6 to 8 weeks to get a retail media campaign done. Again, this is start to finish. I'm briefing it, I'm developing it, I'm producing it, I got to deliver it, I've got to get it approved. So there's a lot of steps there that they have to go through, but still, they're not happy with that.
Yeah.
They want to get it done today. They want it done and live, and they want to be responsive to all these opportunities in the market. Sell sheets, if you ask a customer, how long does it take to refresh a catalog with all these parts in it? They'll tell you, oh, I can't even get it done because there's so much data I need to put into the catalog that we don't have a way to do it. If they do have a way to do it, it might take 3, 6 months or more to refresh a catalog. And you can imagine as a salesperson out in the market, you don't want to be working with out of date content and product information. So even though we're used to seeing everything in a couple seconds these
Yeah.
days, this ability to move from weeks to minutes or maybe a few hours or days with some approvals in there, that's a huge unlock for these customers.
Got you. And do you see, obviously, creative testing is a big element in certainly media management. How does that play into what you do?
Yeah, it's such a great question. I think step one is, hey, take a process that I have and just let me do that efficiently so my team can focus on the creative and the messaging and really what's going to move the needle in these campaigns. Once I do that, now I want to go to step two, which is what you just pointed out. I've got this creative. I want to run a few variations of it. I want to see what's performing. And I need a way to produce that. So we enable that. But also, I need a way to get data back to your very original premise at the start of our conversation to tell me how's it performing. Because once I have that data, then I can really take action on double down on this creative or do something different at my next tentpole campaign. Uh, how do I invest? So those really go hand in hand.
Got you. The one of the things I've noticed, Dave, with several of the brands I talk to, especially if they have a large catalog, the hero products get all the attention. The long tail products is expensive to
Yeah.
create that content. But are you seeing with kind of your kind of platform and service, like, do you see that behavior changing? And are brands thinking content for all products more and more? How does that work?
Yeah, we have customers that have thousands, if not tens of thousands of products in their catalogs. Now, before I get into that, let me just say that I absolutely love working on these smaller catalogs because you can really understand the product set. You can really think about their content strategy, things like that. But for these customers, let's say a large CPG that does have thousands of products or tens of thousands globally, they really are looking to, of course, optimize the best sellers, but refresh the entire catalog. and they go through branding changes all the time. As you know, they have the packaging changes, and they have to refresh a whole set of images, whole
Yeah.
set of product detail pages, and it's very hard to do that manually. And so they use this It's Rapid platform to do that at scale and just refresh the work they've done with a few clicks. And that's really powerful for them.
You mentioned Walmart and Instacart partnerships. And frankly, I met you when you were speaking at the Walmart event. Can you tell us more about what that partnership is and how does that help brands?
Yeah, our Walmart Connect partnership is among our partnerships, which I'm all incredibly grateful to have. They have this opportunity at Walmart Connect where they're really developing the retail media surfaces, formats, and the capabilities for Walmart Connect. And you can see that advertisers are excited about that. What our partnership with Walmart Connect unlocks is two things. One is it streamlines the delivery of the retail media creative, whether that's banners or video, directly to Walmart. So you've been working on the creative all week. It's finally approved. Just one last step. I got to upload my
Yeah.
files to the platform. That turns out to be a really hard problem. It's a Friday afternoon. Everyone thinks they've got the right file, and yet getting that dialed in is hard. That's a production challenge. With this API integration with Walmart Connect, click a button, all the assets are uploaded directly to Walmart Connect. So that's a huge efficiency unlock, streamlines things, all of that. Advertisers are really excited about that. The other part of that is the analytics that come back when you do that. There, because you're directly connected, you can then report on what's working. You can do the kind of creative comparative testing that you were talking about earlier, multiple versions of the creative, report back on the performance. Those two hand in hand really let you run efficiently and then optimize the performance. So we're really excited about this partnership with Walmart Connect.
Awesome. And with Walmart, are you pushing content both for offline, like in-store purposes, as well as online?
Yeah, we're rolling out in stages. So step one was connection to get the content live for on-site. Step two is the analytics, and then step three will be the off-site as well.
Got you. Let's talk about AI a little bit, Dev. We cannot not talk about AI when it comes to content,
Right.
or when it comes to software businesses.
Yeah.
So I just feel like software businesses are in two camps probably. One is like, okay, I'm going to get crushed with this thing, or I'm going to do things to ride this wave, right? So which camp are you on?
Yeah, I'm in the ride the wave camp because first off, I think as an entrepreneur, you need a big wave. You either need to create a wave or ride a wave to really grow your company. And gosh, it's always helpful when you have a big wave that already
Yes.
exists. The big thing for our customers is they have incredible appetite for automation and AI. The challenge for them is how do they internalize that and bring it in and scale it and make it repeatable? And that could be everything from writing the prompts in the right
Yeah.
way to the approval process because the content still has to get signed off. You have regulatory questions and other aspects of this content for all these different formats. So, really giving them a workflow where we can plug in the best in class large language model, whatever it is, into the workflow, and they can just run it, or we can run it for them through managed
Yeah.
services. That's the big unlock for us.
Yeah. We launched our Gen AI, first set of Gen AI capabilities last week, but for the last year or so, we have been playing with all kinds of models and they're all different, serve different purposes. And on the content side, I'm curious, like, do you foresee full scale things like video creation, for example, with very little inputs as a reality, or has it already happened?
Yeah, I think what's shifting is where is the work and time investment now?
Yeah.
The production and let's call it the middle of the process, I've got all the instructions laid out. and
Sure.
now produce it. That can be done with automation and AI to a large extent. What does that mean? That means that up front, though, you're really having to get the brand style guidelines, the
Yeah.
rules, the prompts, and all that really, really dialed in. And I think that's been perhaps a bigger lift than some of the customers in the market anticipated. But once you do that, then you've really got this scalable, repeatable process. So it's not necessarily that the human work is going away or anything
Yeah.
like that. It's shifting in terms of you've really got to have the strategic mindset at the start of the process in order for the middle, the engine, to run the way you want it to run.
Yeah. Makes sense. What are some of your AI toys of day-to-day use, Dave?
Oh, there are all kinds. It could be as easy as we're doing a campaign, a retail media campaign, and we need some inspiration for the headlines
Yeah.
that go in the campaign. And we want some new ideas. And so you can use AI for that. It could be as comprehensive as we have all of this marketing text or this data text, and we need to transform that into something that's customer ready.
Mm.
And it came from supply chain or it came from inventory or what have you. And now we need to rewrite it and really convert it. And it's got to be a certain length and a certain style and so on to be brand consistent. So, those I think are some of the more interesting use cases. And of course, image generation, where our clients use it for the background imagery. But we have other clients that want to stick with stock photography, let's say. So we have options where they can plug in the AI, they can go with something stock, they can move back and forth. So we can kind of meet them where they are in this AI adoption journey.
Give me a sense for the types of data sets that you're getting access to. Is it like reviews, product content? Like, what are you getting access to, which can all be fed into
Ah,
these models for some, all kinds of outputs?
well, I am a bit of a data nerd, I'll admit. We are exciting, exciting opportunities in the space when it comes to data. We have the product information data, which
Mhm.
could be structured, but also has a lot of free form text in it. That's
Mhm.
in systems like a Salsify or One World Sync, Syndigo, other systems like that. We have a partnership with Bazaar Voice, so we're starting to work with them around reviews and customer insights. Now, that's really interesting because not only can you learn from what the shopper is saying about your product, but eventually you could even feed that into the creative process to help give you
Yeah.
direction on the creative. And then we have analytics. That's coming back from some of the retailer partnerships like Walmart Connect and Instacart.
Awesome. You work with lots of brands. I'm just curious if you were to pick the ones that do a phenomenal job of this,
Yeah.
what would be the attributes? In other words, like best practices, like your point of view on what brands should be doing or what are the brands that are doing well? Why are they successful at it?
Yeah, I'll start with the brands that are make for great partners for our company are really those that are this appetite for bringing in the technology, and this word partner gets thrown around a lot.
Yeah.
But when you work with a real partner, there's a lot of back and forth. You're working on these capabilities hand in hand, and they're providing feedback and access to information and data, and you're providing this technology and something that's hopefully giving them a step ahead in the market. So number one, I think, is brands partnering with companies like us to be able to really bring these capabilities in house. And that's not the right thing for every brand. You have certain categories where you've really want to wait some time, but a lot of the brands we work with that we're most excited about are doing a great job at that. The second thing is really clear use case identification. This might seem like something that would be you wouldn't have to think about so much, but it's really important, especially when you're bringing in new tech, to have alignment on what are we trying to solve. And that's different than what it says in the order form or the SOW and all that. It's the teams getting together and saying, These are the key use cases. And if we were able to go from A to B on this together, that would really move the needle. And so the brands that are doing a great job, I think, really take the time and do a wonderful job at aligning on those use cases. I could tell you lots of other stuff about Amazon title lengths and keyword
Yeah,
optimization, and those are all the tactical things that you've really got to get right. But starting with how do I bring this tech in, appetite to do it, and how do I do it? That I think is a real differentiator for some of the customers we work with.
that's a great point, actually. I mean, the choice of the use cases you pick can make the difference in terms of how long it'll take for you to show some success.
Correct.
All right. So, any guidance on what you have seen as this, nicely contained pocket of use cases that you can pick off and show real value very quickly?
Yeah, I think CPG, mobile ready hero images,
Mm.
we have very scalable, repeatable process for that, that we've seen tons of success on. Retail media banner ads is a problem, a challenge for a lot of customers where they've got a lot of networks, a lot of refreshes that they're trying to do. That's a great one. And sell sheets and catalogs, this is one of those challenges where you have a lot of data, you know what you want as the output, but you don't have a great way to do it. And so if you
Mm,
can streamline that, it's a huge win and a quick win.
got you. Dave, I want to circle back to AI, and this world is changing so fast. I was messing around with OpenAI's deep research over the weekend, quite surprised by what it can do, and this is not going to stop. So I'm curious, crystal ball, like 2 years ahead, where will this whole process of content creation and or consumption, where will we be? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I look at our product we have an AI PDP writer. And you can take keywords and your existing content, rewrite it so that it adheres to all the retailer requirements. That is the tip of the iceberg of what's possible when it comes to creating content. You could then take that, feed it into your retail media campaign. You could feed it into what images am I going to create? And so that way, again, this idea of omni gets thrown around a lot as well. You could have something highly consistent that's driven off AI, and
Yeah,
that's really exciting. On the consumption side, hey, as a shopper, anything that can make my life easier when it comes to figuring out which products to buy and make my travel plans and things like that for the family, that's of course going to be a win. But what it means for me is I'm going to really care about authentic content even more than
yeah.
I do today because that is what the differentiator is. If everybody can create some content and have some tools, how do I stand out? It's that front end of the process.
Yeah,
What rules am I feeding in and how am I managing the AI workflow? That's really where you're going to have the differentiation.
makes sense. I was playing with OpenAI's operator like a couple of weeks back, and I asked it to go shop for cordless vacuum cleaners, 4 star and above, and under $300, right? So it goes about shopping on Amazon, browsing as if it were a human, clicking on filters, and it captures the entire video. And 15, 20 minutes later, I get a notification. I go back and say it's got my 3 recommendations. And I watch the video, right? And I'm watching it and going, this is crazy. This is where we are headed. At the same time, this also doesn't make sense. Like, why would agents traverse websites made for humans? Like, completely inefficient.
Right.
It took it
Right.
15 minutes to do its job.
Yeah.
But really, two things jumped out for me through that process. One is, and frankly, I don't have answers, it's just questions. What's going to happen to ads in that realm? What does content mean in that realm?
Yeah.
Right? I know we are a little ways from it, but what is that famous Amara's law? You overestimate impact of technology in the short run when you underestimate it in the long run. So
Exactly.
I feel like some form of that is going to happen in the long run, and I wonder what the role of content in that universe would be.
Yeah, it's such a great question. On the analysis of the content, I think that's going to get a lot smarter
Yeah.
because they'll have access to the systems and the data and so on. This is a way to do that now to kind of prove the capability. On reaching the shopper, I like to go back in time. You know, who would have thought that probably when they had radio, TV was not even
Yeah.
an idea. You have TV, now you have the internet. Now I have my phone. I have all these different. So somehow, brands and human beings find a way to reach other human beings. That could be
Yeah.
one to one, or it can be broadcast with advertising. And so, what I think will happen is we'll see new mediums coming
Yeah.
about to get that content in front of us. And so content will continue to be super, super important.
Dave, anything important that we have not talked about and we should?
Well, Srinath, it's such a pleasure to talk to a fellow entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You really lined up a great set of questions. It was a wonderful set of topics. And of course, if any of your listeners would like to find out about any of our capabilities, or they're looking to do some test and learns on AI, or just need some help creating some sell sheets, whatever it might be, we'd love to talk to them.
Great. Well, Dave, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your perspective on a topic, frankly, at Intentwise, we don't spend a lot of time on, but we would love to partner with someone like you. Appreciate all the insights. And again, thank you so much to be on our podcast.
Thank you.